Welcome back to Shifts and Giggles, the place where we explore the holy shifts that move us from where we are to where we're meant to be, with curiosity, compassion, and yes, a few giggles along the way. In a world that feels louder and faster and more chaotic by the day, today's conversation is an invitation to do something radically quiet. Turn inward because when the outside world feels so unsteady, our inner frequency matters more than ever. I'm super delighted to welcome back my first return guest who embodies this work in such a beautiful and grounded way, Michelle Giliberto. She's the founder of Purely Resonance and a dear friend. Her work lives at the intersection of energy, intention, and transformation. And yes, she even has a vibrational water called Holy Shift, which feels perfectly aligned with today's conversation. So today we're going to talk about what a holy shift is, how it's different from change, why frequency matters, and how tuning inward can become one of our most powerful compasses when life feels uncertain. So take a breath, settle in, and let's explore the shifts and the giggles together. Welcome back, Michelle.
Thank you, Beth. I'm so happy to be here with you.
In our cozy little corners of the world, right?
Yeah, cozy on this. We're in New England and it's snowy and cold here. So, yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
Yep.
So you and I started having a conversation a while ago about how people can stay centered and grounded during times of chaos and confusion and upheaval and all the noise that's happening outside in the world. And I'd love your input on like how you do that for yourself and how you tell your clients to do that for themselves.
Okay. Yeah, I know. I wish that we had recorded the conversation we
I
were
know.
having because it was so good. And I felt like there were all these ideas bursting in my mind as we were talking. And I think it is a really important topic to talk about, especially right now, because of everything that we're seeing happen externally in the
Yeah.
world, right? On the news, especially, and how we're kind of so drenched in that energy and that information. So I think it can feel really hard to feel centered and grounded and feeling good, even when you're just kind of observing that all externally, right? Um, and I have some practices that I do every day that I think really support staying in that place myself where I can stay centered. I will say, just fundamentally, one of the things I do every day, I've been doing it for a really long time, for over a decade, that really helps me every single day is when I wake up in the morning, I tune into my connection to source. And there's a lot of ways to do that. I mean, anybody can do that, and people have all the ways to do that. So I'm only talking about just like my little way that I do.
Yeah, totally.
Um, you know, so it's not like the only way or whatever, but when I started studying theta healing a long time ago, they have a quick little process of tuning into that connection to source, to creator, to all that is, your higher power, whatever you like to call it. And it always just felt like an easy little roadmap to tune into that because the truth is, we are always connected to source. There is nothing that can sever us from it or separate us from it, but the noise in the world can really make us feel like we are, even if we're not.
Yeah.
Like the experience is like you could feel really isolated and alone and hopeless and like, what the heck is going on? But the truth is that you are. So, and when we wake up in the morning, after we're being asleep, whether you had a good night's sleep, a bad night's sleep, or whatever, right? When you're sleeping, you really drop your resistance the most of your entire day. So when you first wake up, you're at that point where all of that noise is furthest from you.
I
It's,
love that.
yeah, so it's the easiest time to do this. And there's a caveat to this, I will say, because I can feel like I've been this person, right? Like the new mom. Like my first thought in the morning is like crying baby. I am not the furthest from my resistance at that moment, or if you're a caregiver or something, like that may not be your experience. Um, and I totally get that because I've been there. It might be that you do it as you're drifting off to sleep because that's another great moment. So there's no like hard and fast rules, but generally I find, and if I can, in those first moments when I wake up, it's peaceful, it's still, and I can do this little roadmap of just tuning in and feeling that connection, just going and connecting into source and letting myself feel that feeling of that pure love, that perfect intelligence of the universe. And I always ask for that pure consciousness perspective that what do I need to see and feel and know today? And it's really important to really try to tune into even one good thing that feels good because we're conditioned to pay attention to all that's going wrong in the world, in our lives, in our bodies. And it's easy to get swept up in the tide of that right away and then keep amplifying that energy all day,
Yeah,
everywhere.
because that informs how you are looking at the world. So if you can
Totally.
tune into that place first off and remember how connected you are to spirit or to
Yeah.
whatever you call that thing that's bigger than yourself,
Mhm.
um, it changes the lens through which you look at your day. So important. So remembering to tune in to yourself and to source is more important than tuning into the news of the day.
1,000%. 1,000%. And I know that like we feel, and this is also our conditioning, is like we have to pay attention to everything going on in the world. And I'm not saying don't look at it, but also do this. Like let this be important too. And even if it's a minute or two, it doesn't have to be all day long, but just start with an alignment with that, right? And it, however that is, I know like I have clients who tell me like it's really hard to do, like I don't know how to feel connected. And so, there are things you can do. There's easy little things you can do
Let's
to,
do one of them right now.
let's do one. Okay. So Okay. So people feel like it's hard because the conditioning is there, right? And so what I say is like, okay, what would life be like if you didn't have all that conditioning? Like, can you even imagine it? You can use your imagination. That's one of my favorite things. Easy to do. Close your eyes for a moment. Just imagine what it would feel like in your body, what the world would look like when you look around and you talk to people and you move through your day if you didn't feel like you had to pay attention to everything going on externally. What if you could just feel that peace for a moment within you? Just imagine it, even if it feels far away. Imagine it and see, like, how does it come to you? Does it come through sound? Even just like the little tinkling of the radiator or something behind you that it's so quiet, I can pay attention to that in the background. Or maybe it's something you see in your mind's eye, just feeling like I'm sitting out and the sun is shining on my face and it feels so peaceful. However, you want to imagine it through your senses, you let yourself just do that for a moment. And just that imagining will bring you into resonance with that peace going inward. And now you've created this moment that's different. It's really different than all that other noise out there.
Yeah, and that was only a minute, maybe tops, that we just did that. And I already feel the difference.
Yeah, sometimes like, life gets a little hectic. And so it's it's kind of like training yourself to do this, right? So the more hectic my day is, the more I know I need to like just take a minute. So even if I'm on like a lot of client sessions or trainings or whatever I'm doing, I make sure I take a minute in between there to just do kind of what we just did for myself, just to like recalibrate
Yeah,
to that frequency. And it's enough. It
it
really
is enough. And it also helps you be more available to what's happening around you, more fully present, right?
Yeah, and I like doing it because it's easier for me to tune into what is going right. It's easy to
Mm,
tune into what's going wrong because we're wired for survival. So we're like, what
right.
do I need to read for that is a threat to that, right? But to read for what's going right, you kind of have to pay attention and like tell yourself like this is what I'm doing today. Like even if you put it in your phone as a reminder, what's going right? Like the sun's shining, whatever it is, like some
I'm
little
breathing.
breathing. Yeah. I get to talk to someone I love on Zoom today. Woo! Like whatever it is, it's celebrating that for a moment and just noticing it that in your own world, in your own paradigm, there are things going right. And doing that to me is like if you want to be rebellious to what's going on in the world, that is like the greatest act of rebellion you can do is amplify the vibration of what is working, what's going right, and what's possible. Because as you keep tuning into what's going wrong without adding on a thought of, and this can change, something better is emerging from this. Without that, but just the constant repetition of like, the world is on fire. The world's on fire. You actually call more of that back in and you're going to keep getting more of that feedback. So, like disrupting the pattern is what we just did.
Yeah, it's so important. And so that can affect a great change in your life. So
Yep.
what do you think the difference is between, or like, how would you explain the difference between change and transformation?
Well, change is always happening, right? Like that's the constant in our lives is change. Like things are always changing and that is going to happen. But transformation to me is really about harnessing my power with the change that's already happening. So it's expanding my perspective. So if a change is happening, it's like, how is this happening for my benefit? How am I growing from this? Like what am I doing with this? That's the transformation that
Yeah,
happens.
that's that pivotal point, that shift from change to transformation, right? Because change can happen. We can choose change or change can choose us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that pivotal point that you just expressed is like that's where change turns into transformation. How is this? What did you say? How is this change happening for me? Is that what
Yeah,
you
like yeah, it's like how is this for a benefit to my life? Like what's really in this? And sometimes it takes going inward a bit, because some of those changes that feel like they choose us feel, it's easy to just be like, oh no, like this,
Oh, why
yeah,
is this happening to
why
me?
is this happening? Right. And I've had many of those in my life.
Me
And
too.
the big ones, though, have really led to something really beautiful. Maybe
Mhm.
not right away, but I can later kind of see how those big shakeups really were part of me becoming the next phase of what I'm stepping into, the next transformation of my life.
Yeah.
And so now that that's happened a bunch of times, um, I tend to look at it that way, like, why is this happening for me? What's in it for me? What am I doing with this? Like, I want to work with the raw materials of my life. So if it's a heartbreak or it feels like a setback or a shock, I'm like, what's really the stuff in here? And I want to take my power back. Like, what do I want to do with this? What is this making me? What am I becoming with this?
Yeah,
So,
it's like it's an alchemy, right?
yeah, totally. Totally. Because I mean, I've had many of these things happen in my life over the years.
I don't think anybody gets by without any of those things happening.
No, yeah, no, and sometimes I just look at it like, okay, like what part of me, even if it's like this tiny little kernel of me that I'm not even consciously aware of, signed up for this thing. Some part of me signed up for this. I don't know what part. I'm not conscious of that part, but there's a part of me that said,
I
I'm here for it.
volunteer.
I'm here. I'll do it. Right. Well, then what the heck am I doing? Right. Because that's the only way that I can work with that and consciously create it and transform it into something more in my life. And so, I often ask that question in the stillness, when we have a huge snowstorm like we just had, it's a great time. Like snow makes everything so still and quiet.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It is. It's like a great time to just get quiet within and ask that kind of question and see what shows up. And sometimes it can be like really illuminating, to realize like why we show up for certain experiences in our
Yeah,
life.
so can you give me an example of like, I don't know,
Yeah.
what it is that would show up for somebody while they're like reflecting on that? Would it be like a limiting belief or
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times it is. It's like there's the limiting beliefs in the subconscious, right? So those are things that we've picked up. We might have come in with them genetically. Like our whole family has a limiting belief that's really helped them move forward for a long time. But now it's kind of like done, right? It's time to give that limiting belief up. Or it could be something we picked up, you know, early in life, or whatever. But these limiting beliefs have some oomph to them. They have some,
charge?
resonance that really like starts to become a pattern. So I'll look for a limiting belief or I'll look for what's the pattern that a person is in that's keeping them going. Like, if somebody's, for example, like with everything going on, if somebody's like really, really tuned in to things and oriented to it, like, oh my gosh, the world is so terrible. How are we ever coming back from this? And they're just so in the cycle of feeling that. I'll want to go back and look at like where is this personal for them? Because it's like I think it's just a human condition. It's one way that we can deal with stuff is to kind of externalize it and say like this is happening
Absolutely.
out there and it's making me angry and sad and hopeless and all of this stuff. It's harder to be intimate with yourself and say like I feel all of this because of this pattern or this life experience I had. But, creating a safe space for someone to just tune into that and realize that there's a seed of this in me that's showing up in the world.
Exactly.
And that's the transformation.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
the
have to carry it
transformation.
around.
That's the holy
Yeah.
shift, baby.
That's the holy shift. That's the sacred movement from that pattern into something more expanded, like less limiting.
Exactly. So that whole like bringing what we're so focused on externally back into ourselves is the key to transformation for ourselves.
Yeah. And
Not not necessarily fixing what's out there, but it's about really examining and transforming what's inside of us.
yeah, and that, a lot of people feel like, well, that's selfish, right? But that is your magic.
That is the magic,
That is
baby.
that is how you actually can create the things externally looking really different and changing. Like I can't just go and pick a person like over there in the world and be like, I'm going to change your life, right?
Right.
As much as I want to, right? Because we're all connected. And when you see people suffering, you want to make a difference.
Exactly.
But the best way that you can, I mean, if you want to be effective, is to go within because that's where your power is to change whatever is within you that's holding resonance with that thing. And, one of the limiting beliefs that people have is like, I can't, like, it's just not possible. I can't go in, I can't look at that, I'm not capable, right? I can't affect change that way. Like, let's cancel delete all of those right now.
Let's cancel, delete all of that stuff.
Let's yeah, let that go and just bring in the perfect positive replacement for all of those beliefs because if you are seeing that in the world, then you are completely capable. You have what you need already within you. And all you have to do is just kind of tune in and get quiet. You have everything you need to do that. You are capable and you can affect change in the world. You absolutely can. You just do it through yourself.
So let's say somebody's tuned in and they're aware of their limiting belief.
Hmm.
And then what?
Yeah. Well, once you're aware of it, change it, like change that belief.
So
So
how can somebody change their belief?
I mean, my favorite way is to do that little connection process that I talked about. And I think you and I did it on the last Shifts and Giggles,
Probably
maybe.
did.
But and I do this all the time in my work, but like that repetition of it is really helpful to get people going with that muscle memory that just gets them in that place. But connecting into source, so tuning into it is what I mean when I say connecting, because you're already connected, but letting yourself tune into
Feel it.
that. Feel it. And you're the authority of your beliefs. You are,
I
right?
know I
So you may
am.
not like know what all of them are, and that's okay, but you are the authority. So when one shows up, what do you want to do with it? If you don't like it and it's limiting you, change it. Say, I'm letting this one go. Delete, cancel, whatever you like, clear, cancel, delete. I like to witness it personally. So I'm very visual. So I close my eyes and I literally see the words being like wiped out. And I ask for the perfect positive replacement.
I love that. Ask and you shall receive.
Yeah, because sometimes I like to write out the expanded belief, like what feels true for me now, right? If I feel like, oh, I can't go within, and I'm like, I'm canceling that belief. That's kind of an easy, just change it to I can go within. Yep, I can, right? Sometimes you hit on one and you're like, I don't know what to change it to. Ask for the perfect positive replacement. Don't get hung up on the process. Like that's that sacred movement with the holy shift. Like keep it moving, right? Like perfect positive replacement. But then what is like now, okay, how does that show up in my life? I got to get present to that.
Right.
So I got to like be like paying attention. Where do I feel like I can go within? Can I give myself 5 minutes in the morning to tune in? Can I give myself a minute to journal about what I'm feeling and what might be underneath all the angst and the sadness that I feel, right? Or maybe something shows up in your life that it makes you feel like it is possible, or an opportunity like you thought you're going to be busy all day and somebody cancels on you. It's like, oh, I have an opportunity to be with me. Notice those as opportunities that things are shifting on the energetic, subtle level and starting to bubble up in your life. So I like to just like look around and pay attention. That's the next step.
I love that. So talk to me about your frequency water, Holy Shift.
Oh, holy shift.
Because I know people have been having great experiences with it.
It's a really, really cool one. I mean, it's different than a lot of our waters. And it came out last year in 2025. And um, the frequency was inspired by working with someone who was having a hard time with what we're talking about, like getting out of their own paradigm, like how they see the world. It's like, this is just how the world works and nothing's going to change kind of feeling. And I wanted something that kind of dissolved some of the denser energy around that so that the light could kind of get in and a person could start seeing maybe things can change from this little paradigm, or I can start looking at things in a different way and really start lining up what I really want in myself to show up in the world. And the name was so inspired by you, right? Because
Yeah.
we've had these conversations about the holy shift, and I I was inspired by another formula we had called paradigm shift. That one was more like you felt like you're swept up in the change. Like change was just like dragging you along, whether you wanted to go or not. And it was kind of like, whoa. I mean, it was intense, right? And that's not what I was looking for. I was looking for a more organic, natural unfolding of being able to see a greater perspective and feeling empowered to move and transform with the change that was already happening in
Happening,
life.
right?
Yeah. And and it was fun because I gave it out right after I made it to a bunch of TLC people at a gathering, just little bottles, just, I don't know, just on a whim because I was excited about it and just thought, here, everybody have one, you know? And I got back so many stories of like really cool, beautiful shifts happening for people. And that was when I realized like we have something here. So I started working with it more, working on it in the membership, like doing a lot of like talking about it and um, getting to know what's happening with people as they're using that frequency water. So it's been, I don't know, maybe since like July or
Yeah.
August, I'd say that we started working with that one, but it's been a great support for these times. So it's my favorite one to work with right now.
It's pretty fabulous. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you for
Holy shift.
inspiring it. Well, you do it so beautifully, Beth. You know, like I've watched you over the years as your friend, but also as part of TLC, how you just magically, or you make it look magical and graceful, how whatever life is bringing, that you transform things. Like when everything went into lockdown during COVID, you pivoted to all of the online stuff in such a beautiful way and showed how resourceful that could be and how impactful that could be and how connected we could all be through that and how we could continue our businesses that way. And it was such an inspiration. And that was you living that, right? Like here we are in this
Thank
paradigm of
you.
like, this is how healing works. And you were like, yeah, and it's all this too. And look how fun it is. And look at how you can just do it and it's easy, right?
Well,
And
I'm glad it looks graceful. It didn't always feel graceful, just
maybe not,
saying.
but yeah, it did to me, I will say. Like it really did. I was like, wow, that's amazing how you did that. And since then, how the world then changed again and we all started coming back together and you hold both so beautifully. The
Thank you.
in-person stuff, the online stuff, it's just like this beautiful balance. And that has been a real inspiration to me in my business, but also in this work that I'm doing is getting to witness this is how it can be. This
Yeah,
is how
change can
change can
be,
happen and be beautiful.
and I think I wish I could remember that quote, but it's not the strongest of the species that survives, it's the most flexible or adaptable. And I think
Mm,
that we forget that sometimes, as humans. We think, oh, we have to be strong. And it's like, it's not really about strength in that way. It's about flexibility, adaptability, being able to go with the flow, not having to, swim upstream all the time.
yeah. Yeah, you're right. And that has I think that's what the world is showing us and kind of nudging us to. So, like, the more I see what's going on in the world, the more I feel like the contrast of that message is we really want to understand how resilient we are and how much we can adapt, how much we can transition out of like what feels limiting and confining into something more. It's like a really great opportunity to explore that.
Yeah. Woohoo! So
Mhm.
where can people get these resonance waters of purely resonance?
Thank you for asking. At our website, purelyresonance.com, we don't sell the majority of our waters on the website because a lot of them are really, really specific to the individual. And we do have those, we do those in readings and such, but Holy Shift is actually available on our website because I feel really good about offering that one where it's a good match for anybody who feels, interested in it. Like if you feel a resonance with it or you feel curious about it, it's probably a good match. So we have that one on the Purely Resonance site.
I love it. I love chatting with you, Michelle.
Thank you. Likewise, it's always
Um,
fun.
so thank you everybody for tuning in. Head over to purelyresonance.com. Check out all of Michelle's offerings. She does readings, she has classes and workshops and trainings, all the things. And woohoo! Have a great day.
Thank you, Beth.